next we're about to invite Mr. Sean Lee, Consulting Partner of Global Services from EMC APJ, to give the keynote closing and to conduct a live polling session. But before we invite Sean up on stage, I would like to draw your attention to your delegate badge. That's right, flip to the back side. The third QR code, which has a yellow in the middle that says Vote Now, is the site that you should access later on to conduct the live voting. So I do urge you all, if you have a QR code reader ready, to log on to the site. If not, please download a QR code reader. If you need Wi-Fi access, you might have noticed, it's called EMC Forum. It's a free Wi-Fi service that we've arranged to facilitate all the Go Digital services we have today. And of course, the URL as an alternative is also displayed on the screens right now. You can access that URL for the site for live voting later on. So I think we're all set now, and let's welcome on stage Mr. Sean Lee.
So I think, Brian, this was the clicker? All right, one of those. So thank you very much. Thank you, Laura. And definitely thank you, Dennis and Brian, for giving us two excellent keynote presentations this morning. I would actually urge you, so you just saw a little clip on Brian and his acting skills. Did you know that actually Brian has Mandarin skills as well? So he's actually got a clip on very similar type of settings done in Mandarin. So I would encourage you to take a look at it when you do have a chance. So one of the great things about working for a global company like the EMC is the fact that we get to hear a lot of very interesting stories about how our customers are deploying our technology in the areas of IT transformation, cloud, big data, and trust. In fact, a lot of these use cases are so interesting that we very often share them with dear customers like yourself. We also get access to a lot of industry-centric information, such as where the global trends, technology trends may be going, what some of our customers' concerns may be, and perhaps what some of their top priorities are in the near future. Now, we have shared a lot of those with you, but there is one constant feedback that we consistently hear from you. That is, getting statistics from the United States is great, getting information from Europe is great, and even in Asia Pacific is great. However, many of you have asked us to share with you Hong Kong-specific data. So we have taken that to heart. So what we have done is, prior to the EMC sessions this morning, we have actually done a survey with many of you, right? So we asked you a number of questions in regards to where you're thinking, where you're going, what are you thinking about transformational different projects that you may be embarking on. So what I'd like to do over the next few minutes is share with you the survey results from some of the questions that we've done prior to the EMC forum. And then right after that, since we've got almost, I think, 600 of you in the audience here today, we're actually going to do a live polling. So we want to get a pulse in regards to what you are thinking about today, right here, right now. All right, so let's get started. So in this survey that we ran prior to the forum, we actually had 133 correspondences that came back to us, right? So 133 from various different industries, as you can see, all from Hong Kong, different industry, different management level as well. So you could see 47% of the correspondences were at the manager and above level. All right, so these are decision makers, whether in the IT or in the business side. All right, 133 of them. Now, there are some very interesting aspects that we have learned out of this exercise. So we're going to go through a couple of these in different sections. We'll try to dissect some of these meanings, and then we'll go into the sessions later on as well. So let's start with big data first. So Brian spent a lot of time talking about big data. Big data means a lot of different things to different people. Certainly it is big, right? Otherwise it's not going to be called big data. Now, one of the first questions that we actually asked the correspondences to share with us was, do you think better data will contribute to better decisions require better use of data? Now, to no one's surprise, 83% says yes, of course. Better decisions require better use of data. Now, these data could be from the business side. It could be your information about your customers, about what they're doing, how they're leveraging your services, what products are they buying from you, depending on which industry you're in. On the IT side, it could very well be what's happening in the data center, how you're analyzing the information that are coming out of your systems, whether these are logs that you're surveilling, whether these are messages that are being deployed in between different computing systems as well. So to no one's surprise, 83% says better decision require better use of data. Now, at the same time, we also elevated that conversation a little bit. We said, all right, will big data create the next winners and losers in my industry, meaning the industries that you saw in my first slide earlier? Now, there's an overwhelming 45% of the correspondents said yes, of course, versus only 8% that says no. Now, there's an interesting aspect about this chart. Anyone notice that? 45 plus 8 doesn't equal 100, right? So there's roughly 50% of the correspondences that were kind of a maybe, right? A maybe. Maybe big data will help me, my company, become a winner in my industry. Now, I think one of the reasons for that is, first of all, there's still a lot of definitions about big data. People are figuring out what that is. Is it about data warehousing? Is it about unstructured data management? Is it about incorporating social media information as part of my decision tree? So there's a lot of confusion and various different definitions that have to do with big data. So I think that's what probably contributes to the roughly 50% of the maybe side of this question. Now, at the same time, we also asked some questions about security, about cyber attacks. Do you think big data tools can actually help you prevent or identify cyber attacks? And you can see over 50% says absolutely yes, right? There are various different ways that big data tools can help you broaden the detection mechanisms that you can actually put as part of protecting your boundary and protecting your data and more importantly, preventing anything bad from happening. So that's certainly of no surprise. Now, if we go to the next one, we ask some questions about what are some of the popular big data technologies you may be using today. All right, so we ran through a list of various different things that we have seen from the industry. So starting from up top, high performance computing, software caching, 26%, right? So that's by far bigger than any other categories that we have on the list here. So that's kind of not surprising as well. If you recall from my very first list, we actually had a lot of our correspondences coming back from the financial services industry. So quite frankly, speed is money, right? Speed is king. And a lot of time, high-performance computing type of capability certainly will be helping in those areas. The second one here is enterprise content management. Now, enterprise content management or document management, it's a technology platform that's been around for a very long time. I actually came from that industry before I came into EMC. So we were actually a little bit surprised to see that being ranked second behind high-performance computing. However, if you think about the growth of data today, right, most of the data that are growing the fastest have to do with unstructured information, unstructured data that your employees may be generating, your customers may be generating, data that you may be collecting from the outside. A lot of those are unstructured type of information. So if you need to manage it appropriately, policy control some of those data in regards to your compliance and regulatory type of controls, then you certainly need a system like enterprise content management to handle it. So that's actually making more sense. Now the next two actually have to do with newer type of technology, something called Hadoop, right? Hadoop as an unstructured file system that allows you to do some very innovative analytics type of capabilities. And then the fourth one over here, in-memory databases, right? Running things very, very quickly, transaction processing type of environments. We've got a lot of customers that are leveraging our capabilities to do those now. There's one interesting aspect out of this chart as well, right? So the very last in the bottom, 35% of the correspondences actually said, well, we don't know. We're not currently planning anything. Now, this may be because they couldn't classify exactly what big data might have meant for them. But then at the same time, if we look at the next question, we also ask about, well, so when you look at big data, are there anything that are inhibiting you from going into a big data project? So if we go from the left-hand side, your left-hand side, starting from the left-hand side right here, a lot of you have actually said, well, my IT infrastructure is not capable of doing that today. I can do my traditional databases, I can do my traditional file system. But when I expand it to include things like social media, when I include it into log management and surveillance, my existing IT infrastructure might not be able to help me to get there. So that might contribute to that 35% earlier, right? The second one, the business culture may not be ready. Maybe my executives are not really thinking down that path because they're thinking this is still very technology-centric. Maybe we haven't done enough of a gap, kind of bridging the gap between IT and business to help them understand what big data can do. The third one, that's to no one's surprise, budget is always a concern, right? We're in IT. So that's of no surprise. Now, the next two really has to do with kind of a lack of understanding, right? Lack of understanding in regards to what big data can do. Where do you start, right? So if you look at the last two over here, that's primarily the reason why our global services organization have set up different workshops. And our workshop is geared towards helping our business partners, our customers, to identify specifically which areas within big data they want to tackle on. This is not us saying, hey, you know what, use our technology and everything will be solved. We know that does not happen, right? Business processes need to be identified and prioritized by you, but we can help you get there faster. And that's why we have defined a number of these, what we call vision workshops, creating a vision for you, or actually creating a vision with you, right? Identifying where to tackle so that hopefully the percentages around no clear business drivers, a lack of understanding around what it is could be minimized. Right? So that's what we're talking about, and you'll see a lot of breakout sessions later on this afternoon targeted around those areas. So now let's move on to IT transformation for a second. So IT transformation, what is it? What do we do? So we asked a number of questions. What business priorities are driving IT transformation for you today? Well, you know, when we first looked at this question, when we first designed this question, we thought, a lot of folks are going to be saying, well, because I wanted to look at my budget, reduce the cost, and reduce the footprint within my data center. So we thought cost was going to be a major business driver in regards to IT transformation. Now, interesting enough, I think there's a laser pointer right here. You can see that improving budgetary control is actually not the top, right? This kind of caught us a little bit by surprise. It's in a very good way, but it caught us a little bit by surprise. In fact, most of the correspondences said improving business processes, right, creating more efficiencies around the operational aspects of IT and business is by far the most important decision of you going into IT transformation. So I think that maps very, very well in regards to some of the topics that we'll have to share with you today. The next question we ask, do you think technology investment, new technology investment, can strategically lead to reaching your goals? Now, a lot of our correspondences are in the IT side, so I'm sure they're going to say, yes, of course, IT investment is going to be important. But here's something that we did find as a subsidiary kind of conversation with our customers. Not only did 76% of the correspondences agreed in terms of technology investment, they're also looking at various different ways to try new things as well, new ways of doing things, new technologies, new platforms. They may not roll it out to their mission-critical application right away, but they are a lot more willing now to do so because they could see where the world is going. They could see where some of these internet giants, right, when they're launching new applications, how fast they can go to market. So they're asking themselves, well, why can't we do the same thing? Right? Yes, I'm a bank. Yes, I work for the government. But does it mean that I cannot do something similar in that effect? Right? So technology investment isn't just buying more kit. It is trying new things, new processes, new ways of getting there. Right? So 76% of the correspondences certainly agree with that. Now, seems like every speaker is going to have some issue with the clicker today. Now, the next question we asked about was, what are some of the important factors behind making decisions around IT transformation for you, right, for the correspondences? Now, 41% says budget is still always going to be an issue, right? So if we want to try new things, we need to have budget. So that's not surprising. If you look at the second one, 29%, it says insight gathered from external sources, right? So what are the industry saying? What are the industry dictating us to do? What are some of the trends? What are the analysts saying? More importantly, what are my peers and my competitors doing in the same space as well? Right? A lot of you want to find out what each others are doing, so hopefully you're all going towards the same direction. So that's what the second one is. The third one, the instinct and experience about your senior executives. So, what we've noticed around the world, but also in Hong Kong, right here, is that a lot of organizations have set up a transformational office. Now, this is certainly a new organization that we're seeing our customers move into. In fact, we also see customers now having new CTOs, but instead of Chief Technology Officer, they're now called Chief Transformation Officer. Same CTO, but now they're in the responsibility to transform what they're trying to do. Right? So I think that goes right in line with the senior decision maker, right? They need a newer way of thinking about things. That's what's contributing to these. All right, so data center automation, getting a little bit back towards the core business of what EMC does. I think if we asked this question 3 years ago, it wouldn't have been data center automation. It probably would have been data center consolidation, right? So folks were consolidating their various different assets, whether it's going from multiple data centers into one, making things active, and so on. But now a lot of folks are now looking at automating the processes, right? Orchestrating different environments, resources together, and then automating that process, right? Making sure that things run as smoothly as they can with as minimal resource constraints as possible. So automation is certainly very key. And you can see that 73% of the correspondences certainly agree that data center automation is the directions that they're moving towards. All right, last one for IT transformation. There are a lot of text, so let me go through a little bit with you. So this is a question about IT transformation journey. This is a journey, right? So so let's go from, your left-hand side to right-hand side. 35% said virtualizing mission-critical application is what they're doing now. Not just virtualizing their servers and tier 2, tier 3 applications, mission-critical applications. I think the maturity and understanding of virtualization is certainly there as a result of what we found here in the correspondences in Hong Kong. Now, if we move to the next dot, 11% says they're also using public cloud services. Now, through subsequent conversations with them, we notice a lot of them are doing more file sharing services, messaging type of things, right? Things that can actually be moved outside. But we don't see too much of that, right? You see about 11% of them using public cloud services. And then moving on towards the next dot over here, 36% says they are now looking at building private clouds or have already deployed a private cloud, or maybe they're looking at a virtual private cloud environment. Right? So what does that really mean? That means they're moving some of the workload into a trusted service provider that they're working with. Now, a lot of those service providers happens to be our trusted service providers as well, because they have leveraged our technology and our methodology in creating that platform. So a lot of our customers are kind of moving back and forth between creating their own private environment and perhaps using one that might be outside. And that goes directly towards our next point, which is a hybrid cloud kind of strategy, right? So on demand, when you do need it, move your workload back and forth. So we are seeing that right here in Hong Kong. This is not a global stat. These are numbers right here in Hong Kong through those correspondences that we got. All right? And then, of course, the last one, software-defined data center, as Brian has talked about earlier today. All right, the last section, before we go into the live poll. The last section has to do with just some quick questions about skills, knowledge, and culture, right? So one of our questions was, do organizations have the skills today to handle the high IT priorities? Now, of course, if we didn't see this chart, we would be surprised, right? So the majority of the correspondences, yes, for today's business and IT requirements, we can certainly handle it. No problem there. 60%, and a number of them are neither agree or disagree. So there are a certainly fairly big percentage across them. Now, at the same time, we elevated the question a little bit. We asked, well, what about keeping up with IT innovation? Newer things that you're seeing either on the online in the news, or what your peers or competitors may be doing. What about things that are coming down the pipe in 3 years' time? Would that be a challenge? well, we got a very different response, right? So previously, for current IT and business requirements, more than 60% says no problem. But if we ask about things that are coming down the pipe, what is it? 75% of the correspondent says, we don't know, right? We probably need more training. We need better understanding about what these things can do and how we're going to use it. Can it fit into our budget? And so on and so forth. Now, that's also why there's a reason why EMC, not only do we have great products and we have services and consulting teams, we also have a lot of training services. I don't know if a lot of you have been introduced to those type of offerings that we have to offer. But we actually have educational services that help our customers understand when you put in a certain type of technology or you're going down a certain path, whether you're cloud enabling your data center, whether you're cloud enabling your application, how can you go about doing that? These are educational services, training-like type of environment, right, that you can also leverage as well, right? That goes directly in line with these are new things that are coming down the pipe. How can we do it? What can we do? Right? These are certainly offerings that we have around those areas. So those were the survey results that we got prior to the EMC forum sessions today. So I just kind of went through very quickly with you some of the findings. I hope you found that very interesting. But what we're going to do now is, since we have all of you sitting here, and most likely all of you have one or more cell phones, or an iPad, or a Samsung device, or something. So we're going to do a live polling session. We've got 5 questions, not a lot, all right, 5 questions, and then you can go to lunch. All right, 5 questions. Lunch only, no drinks yet. So we've got 5 questions, and then we're going to run through them, and we will tabulate the results for you right on the spot. All right, so Laura?
All right, thank you, Sean. Let's give Sean a big hand in sharing with us the Hong Kong results just now. And now we're moving on to results from this room. First off, to begin voting, what do we need? We need your smartphones, because you need to access the voting system. So can we have up again the link to our voting system? And if you're logging on to it correct, you should see the welcoming screen, which is this EMC superhero, on your smartphone devices. Okay? Please nod if you have accessed that page, or raise your hands for those who have successfully accessed the login page.
All right, good.
And we're not leaving anyone behind, so we need to make sure everyone raises their hands. Everyone okay? All right, excellent. So this is how the drill is. First off, Sean will ask the question with the options, and you will log into your first question by keying in your delegate ID. You only need to key it in once, and not anymore for the second question onwards. And then to cast your vote from options A to E, you hit vote, and then we should be seeing the results on your device. It's being refreshed a few seconds, and also the results on the screen later on. And you have 30 seconds to vote for each question. So why don't we begin with the first one?
Okay, so question number 1. Only 5, all right? So let's do a countdown. This is number 1. What is the current ratio of IT operational budget in terms of OpEx, so operational expenditure, CapEx, capital expenditure, and innovation? So we've given you 5 choices. Option A basically says 80% of your IT budget goes towards keeping the lights on, operational aspect of operating within your IT environment. 20% is spent in your CapEx, and 0% in innovation. Now, of course, we've got a bit of an extreme on both sides, right? So we've got 5 choices for you. You'll notice that the middle part, the capital expenditure part, is always 20%. So we're assuming that as you innovate, as you grow your business, you will be spending anyways, right? So we want to get a gauge regarding where you are from an operational aspect versus innovation and creating new business aspects. All right, so can we go into the voting now?
All right, so I presume everyone has made a decision, and you shall have 30 seconds to vote, and why don't we begin now? That's right, select your option and hit vote. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's take a look at the results.
Okay, so there's something about real time, right? It kind of gets to you a little bit. All right, so what we have, it looks like we have 36, almost 37% for option B, which is 70% of the IT budget still more or less spent on the operational aspect, and only about 10% on innovation. Now, option C, which is the second largest, is 60%. So it looks like the majority of you are still spending more IT budgets on the operational side. I mean, that certainly makes sense. But at the same time, I almost wonder, kind of a show of hand, I almost wonder if you almost wish it's leaning a little bit more towards the other side. More budgets in terms of innovation, helping the business, creating new products. Come on, don't be shy.
There are a few hands up here.
A few hands. All right, good, thank you. So that's kind of what, at least that's the pulse of the audience here right now. So let's perhaps go to the second question.
All right, we've had an excellent start. So what's the next question about, Sean? And what would we like to know?
Okay, so the second question. Which of the following applications will be your top priority to run on a private and/or hosted cloud platform over the next 24 months? Would it be your database systems? Would it be your collaboration software like email, messaging, and so on? Could it be your transactional processing system? So probably leaning a little bit more towards the mission-critical applications. Salesforce automation, CRM system is option D. And option 5 is your backup and archive. All right, so taking the backup and archive copies and perhaps leveraging a cloud environment instead in a traditional environment. So those are the 5 options.
That's right. And if you haven't already realized, Hit Home shall bring you to this question, and you'll be able to cast your vote again through options A to E. Hit Home to vote for this question. And shall we vote now?
Let's do that.
Got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And let's see the results.
All right. Oh, it looks like a fairly even split. Well, that's interesting. Okay, so again, we have B as the top percentage. So about 32% says collaboration type of technologies will probably be part of your top priorities on running on top of a private or a hosted cloud environment. The next section is what we have a very close tie, very close tie between E, which is your backup and archiving environment, and then at the same time your transactional system. So that's kind of interesting. You've got your higher end speed-centric type of applications, and then at the same time more in a backup, secondary, third copy of your data, both being fairly highly ranked in terms of your priorities on running on the cloud. So that's certainly a very interesting results that have come back from this.
Multifaceted need, which is very adamant of what the audience is saying. So how about we move on to our third question?
Okay, all right, so let's go. Whoops. All right, question number 3. Which areas do you think big data can best help your company? Option A, reduce risk and meeting compliance. Option B, increase your profit margin. Option C, optimize your business operations. D, provide real-time insight. And option E, since we know a few of you probably want to do a multi-select type of thing, so we included all of the above. So let's make your vote now.
That's right. So what area do you think big data can help you most? And again, if you hit home, you'll be able to vote on this question. So let's begin the vote now. See some undecisive people and some very determined who voted the first few seconds. right, and in the final 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 seconds. Let's see the result to our third question. Ooh.
Whoa, look at that. Okay. So all of the, as we expected, I think many of you think there are multiple different areas where big data can help your company. So all of the above, I don't know exactly what the ratios would be, but certainly all of the above have by far almost close to 46%. And then at the same time, optimizing business operations and providing real-time insights. So I think that goes very much in line with some of the things that we have talked about so far. In fact, if you are interested, I know you all have an agenda in front of you. In the afternoon, we'll be having a whole big data breakout track. Right, so the CTO from our pivotal APJ organization, Steve Illingworth, I think he was sitting here a little bit earlier, but he's going to be sharing with you a lot about what Pivotal can do, what are some of the use cases from customers within this region that have leveraged our big data capabilities specifically within these areas. We'll also look at how some of the infrastructure side of the technology will be able to help you along with your big data strategies as well. So certainly look out for those breakout sessions in the afternoon.
Okay, excellent. So we've got 3 questions and 2 more to go. So
Okay.
far, how many of you are finding this interesting?
Come on, show of hands.
Not bad at all, not bad
Yeah?
at all.
Okay.
Very well. So let's go to our 4th question, Sean.
Okay. All right, second last one. Which is the top priority in terms of security analysis for you today? Is it malware identification? Is it centralized compliance reporting? Is it network surveillance? Or automated threat intelligence? Or the last one, real-time log collection and analysis? So make your selection now.
That's right. Security analysis in terms of priority options through from A to E. If you've already decided, let's vote now.
Okay.
A lot of you looking up, very sophisticated voters we have by now. All right, final 3, 2, 1 seconds. Let's see the results.
Okay, D, 34%, E, almost 33%. So it seems like automated threat intelligence, real-time log collections and analysis seems to be the highest priority. That's actually excellent, because this afternoon we have invited our Senior Director of Trust, Davi, who's sitting in the back, or standing in the back. He's going to be talking about how to fight cybercrime using cyber intelligence. So there's going to be one key breakout session where he's going to be sharing with you some very, very interesting insights. I believe immediately right after lunch, right, Davi? Yeah. So he's sitting, and he's the guy with the beer in the back. So you'll recognize him. All right, so definitely go to that breakout session. It's going to be some very interesting things, especially if you're interested in this particular topic.
That's right, looks like we've had a very fruitful line out. And now to our final 5th question.
Okay. All right, last question. What is the top roadblock your IT organization faces in implementing IT as a service? Is it burden of legacy applications? What about burden of legacy infrastructure? Is it insufficient skills and experience? Kind of similar to our earlier questions from the survey before. What about concerns on securities and compliance? Or what about or what if it's all of the above? So make your selections now.
So what do you see are the key roadblocks implementing as a service? Well, if you've decided, let's vote now.
Okay.
All right, the final 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And let's see the results.
Okay, whoa. Again, wow, look at that. All of the above seems to be the top selection over here. 56%, that's more than half. All right, well, the other ones are really legacy applications, so we can certainly understand that. I think from a lot of our conversations with the customers, there are some applications that's been running around for a very long time, right? So customers are thinking, well, do we sunset them? Do we retire them? Do we convert them into something more modern? Or without doing that, can we actually move it onto a cloud environment? Are there some journey that we have to go through before we do that? So that's certainly probably one of the reasons why A still has 12%. D also have concern about security. So I think that goes along with some of the things that we were talking about earlier in terms of putting trust around your entire environment. Now, for this particular area, we do have a cloud and IT transformation track in the afternoon as well. I believe it's track number 1. So folks like John Clifford, our senior director of our executive briefing center, Man Law, he's going to be talking about cloud enabling your infrastructure and also some of the applications. So be sure to look at those tracks, right? Pick the ones that may be most applicable to you, most relevant to what you're trying to do, and do hear some of the interesting insights that they may have to share with you. So I think that concludes our live polling session. So thank you all very, very much in participating. Hopefully you didn't find punching 5 times too difficult, right? That's not too bad, right? We didn't ask for your name. It was anonymous. It was just basically, we just wanted to get a pulse regarding what you're thinking about right here, right now. So hopefully that was interesting for all of you. Thank you.
And a big hand to Mr. Sean Lee. Thank you.